What is this?
Well, this is a orchestrion, and it has two different instruments. Maybe you can guess them, actually.
It feels like a piano.
You are correct. So we have a piano over here. Actually, the most special instrument of this orchestrion are those three violins.
Wow.
The first time I visited the Spelklok Museum, my brain caught fire. On that very day, the idea to build a mechanical instrument took form. 16 months later, we released the Marble Machine video. The Marble Machine was a viral success, but a mechanical failure. So we started to build the much more engineered and improved Marble Machine X. This meant retirement for the first machine. I asked Spelklok if they were interested, and the perfect circle was completed when the Marble Machine was exhibitioned at the very place that gave me the inspiration to build it. When I was back at the Spelklok to install the machine, I was again amazed by the mind-blowing mechanical masterpieces there. In this series, I want to share that experience with you and show you some of my favorite music instruments from the collection of the Spelklok Museum. In this episode, we're looking at the Phonoliszt+Violina, an orchestrion with self-playing violins.
And this is actually, I think, one of the most famous instruments of the company of Hupfeld. So the first one was actually built around 1910, and it was presented at the World Exhibition in Brussels. And normally the doors would be closed, so actually people who listened to it had no idea what was going on inside the cabinet. And they would call it the eighth wonder of the world, because they could listen to self-playing violin music with actual violins, so not organ pipes that imitate the violin sound, but actual violins.
Wow. This round thing must be the bow then?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So this is the bow, and it can turn around. And there are 1,300 horsehairs in there. So it took quite some time to make this bow. And it turns around, and sometimes it turns around a bit faster to create more volume, sometimes a bit slower to create less volume. And normally, if a human being is playing the violin, you would press the bow against the strings. But here it is the other way around, because the violin is pressed against the bow with just a little bit of air. So when they have to play, they're just pressed against the bow.
And then when you want to pause, they retract again?
Exactly,
Okay.
yeah. And you can see 3 violins, and they each have 4 strings, just like regular violins. But only 1 string per violin is actually used, and it's a different string on each violin. So together they have like a little bit the reach of just 1 violin, actually. And they're played by these mechanical fingers, and they have little pieces of cork underneath to imitate the human fingertips a little bit, just to make it sound more organic.
Yeah.
The Phonoliszt+Violina Orchestrion is built 1914 by Ludwig Hupfeld in Leipzig. For a long time, the ultimate goal for mechanical instrument makers was to build a self-playing violin. It was the holy grail of mechanical music, and many makers doubted if it even could be done. Although Leonardo da Vinci made sketches of a viola organista, he never built one. But the Hupfeld company achieved the seemingly impossible, and when the Violina was premiered at the 1910 World Exhibition in Brussels, it was advertised as the 8th wonder of the world.